Hey guys, this is Night Flame, and today, guys, I will be giving you a comic book countdown for the books that came out in the fourth week of April. So one more week for April because this was a 5 Wednesday month. So yeah, this is the penultimate week. So what goodies that we have this week? I only got 7 comics, which is not a lot. My first, like, usually the first 2 weeks are the weeks that I usually get most of my comics. But since there has been 5 Wednesdays this month, it all got spread out, the comics. So that's why I've been getting, a little, some weeks and a lot in other weeks. So yeah, 7 comics this week, guys. And we're going to start off with my worst pick of the week. And my worst pick of the week this week was really surprising because I was just really looking forward to this book. And that is the New Teen Titans issue number 1. Convergence has been a hit and miss for a lot of books. The first week actually really impressed me because most of the books I liked. Second week, I was like, okay, yeah, I'm not enjoying some of the books. Third week, I was like, yeah, I'm just feeling completely disconnected. And fourth week, hopefully I'm not, totally disconnected from the books. But it's going by dates. Like the first one was pre-Flashpoint. The second week was Infinite Crisis, and I think this one, or 0 Hour. I think this one's Infinite Crisis. So it's just going back and back and back. So as further it gets, I'm getting a little more disconnected from this whole event. I'm really interested in the Flashpoint, pre-Flashpoint things because that's when I kind of started near that whole time period. So that's where I'm most connected to the characters. Well, these books, I'm more, disconnected. So this one I got a little disconnected. I bought it for the cast because I've seen some stories in the past with this cast of characters, especially Dick Grayson with his little this suit and Corey, Cyborg. So this is the classic Teen Titans. I was expecting a lot of good things because Mark Wolfman was the original writer and Nicholas Scott, her art is beautiful. So why did I not like this issue? And it was because I completely felt like it was just completely repetitive. Everything unique has been already done. So the book I liked last week was the Suicide Squad, which I think I have here. Yep, I do. The Suicide Squad. I liked this a lot last week, and I like how we had someone betray the others, the other enemy group. Like the Suicide Squad had to face off against Kingdom Come Green Lantern, and Kingdom Come Lex Luthor was gonna betray his society. So that was interesting. And in this one, I feel like that's the same thing that happened. So we get the Teen Titans, they're in the dome. We've seen this many times before because that's the plot for all of the books. So they're in the dome. Corey and Dick have been married for 6 months, but Dick has been having problems with Corey because she is a little violent and she could kill, and Dick does not like that. So they have been having relationship problems. Donna, she has been feeling lonely because her husband is not in the dome, so she does not have that person who can embrace her and make her feel like everything's gonna get better. Cyborg is also not having it well because his body is adapting, but his metal body, his robot body is adapting, but his real body is just not, and that's killing him. There's the parts necessary to fix Cyborg are not, in this whole dome, so Cyborg is dying by the second. Gar, I feel, is the only one who's having it good, and I forgot her name, but she is trying to get with Jericho, and Jericho just does not want to talk to her. So this whole thing is happening. Everybody just seems a little down. Jericho didn't even have a line in this book. He didn't even say anything. So that was a little weird. They should have focused it on these if they weren't going to use, these characters correctly. So the art has, the best art in that I've seen in a Convergence book because it's just completely beautiful. But the writing, Mark Wolfman, I feel like before he could just like write a book about anything and it'll be great. But this one, I just felt like maybe the material he had to work with wasn't good. But the art beautiful, and in this book, the team has to face the Tangent Universe Doom Patrol, and the Doom Patrol does not want to, kill Teen Titans, but they find out that they have to, because there's this power source inside Cyborg's body that they must get so that they can save their whole city. So, they were planning to kill the Teen Titans and disassemble Cyborg and get that whole body, but the Doom Patrol from the Tangent Universe is not really bad, so they're having a little conflict there. Everybody in the team is having conflicts, and at the end we find out that you know the night what's her face Firehawk from the Doom Patrol is going to talk to Nightwing. This is kind of sort of a betrayal that's happening, so we'll see what happens here. So the thing I like was the art. The thing I did not like was the writing, or maybe the story. It just felt repetitive. We've seen before, the Doom Patrol facing against, the team, the headline team against any, maybe Tangent Universe, Flashpoint Universe. They're gonna have a villain, and for this book, I didn't feel connected to any character. Corey Ann and Dick's relationship wasn't interesting to me. I could care less because I know that they, even before, before the New 52, I knew they had this sort of difficulty when they were in a relationship. So seeing this wasn't anything surprising. Donna probably was my favorite character because I could, see that she's feeling pain, but I could care less about anybody else. As as bad as that sounds. I wasn't really connected to anybody in this book. Maybe it's because, I haven't read the series at all, but I've seen images, of the characters with these costumes, but I haven't read the series at all. So I was completely disconnected. The characters, to me, I didn't care for them. That whole cliffhanger, of the Doom Patrol, Firehawk kind of betraying her team, or, going against their back. We've seen that before in Suicide Squad, so that wasn't anything different. And this book didn't do anything different from all the other Convergence books. So I gave this book of the Teen Titans a 6 out of 10. And, that's because of the art. I feel like it completely saved it. Do I recommend you pick it up? No. If you're a big Scott art fan, if you're a big fan of her art, then definitely pick this up. The art is beautiful, and if you're a classic Teen Titans fan, definitely pick this up. But if you're like me, a New 52 reader, then I don't feel like this is worth picking up. So I gave this issue a 6 out of 10, and that's my number 7. So it's a skip for me. I know some people might love it, but it's just not my thing. So sorry, guys. Number 7. Now let's go to number 6, and number 6 is Convergence issue number 3. I had so much hope for this, really, I did. But since issue number 1, and since issue number 0, I feel like it has been completely just rushed. This book just has a rushed feeling to it. I'm gonna get more in depth in my in-depth review, but yeah, there was just so many things that bothered me for this. My favorite moment had to be the Batman moment, but I'm gonna spoil it, not here, but in my review something happens to him, and we'll see what happens from there. The current team: Balzar, Jay Garrick, Yolanda Mendez, and I forgot the other one, Alan Scott. All of them are just, I'm not liking their characters. I don't like the way they're written. I don't like what they have to do with it. This just feels like the Hunger Games, the DC Universe version, and there's no characters I care for. Maybe if you're a fan of the multiverse, you will find love here, but I could just not find it. And I feel like this event as a whole has been an event for, long-time DC fans. Like, just, from I don't want to say years ago, but it's years ago, from years ago. It really hits on many characters that maybe fans of the New 52 don't recognize, like me. These characters were in the book. I did not recognize them, and I just felt completely disconnected as well. There was 2 characters I like, but since World's End happened, I could care less for them too. I'm not feeling them as well. So a lot of things are happening. I don't know how to feel about the book. It hasn't been completely the best book ever, but we'll see how this whole thing wraps up. So far, I have not been loving it, and I'll get more in depth into it. The art is good. The book, it's not my thing, and I think this issue is to skip it and hopefully just gets back up and just becomes a good book. But I feel like it's not. It's just rushed. So, Convergence number 3. I gave a 6.5 out of 10, and I recommend you guys to skip it. So that's my number 6. Now let's go to number 5. And number 5 is not looking so good because the books are low. So are they low here too? We'll find out. So my number 5 this week was Unbeatable Squirrel Girl, issue number 4. This book was in the middle. I could just tell you guys how much wacky it was. It was wacky. It was ridiculous at times too. But this whole battle, I was really expecting something more. I was really expecting it to be serious. I was like, you know what, Squirrel Girl is gonna fight him for real. But it was just really worthy. It was just Doreen talking to Galactus, and at some points I found it funny. Some parts I did, like the beginning was her and talking to Galactus and kind of like dealing with this whole situation, but just talking it out. But Galactus at first he's like, you know what, I like you, Doreen, but then he's like, you know what, never mind, I don't care about our friendship. I'm hungry and I have to go eat the planet. So that was a little weird. At the end, he becomes friends with Doreen again. So their friendship was weird, but what saved the book for me, if the whole book was just this battle with Galactus, I would have given it like a 6 out of 10. But what saved it for me was the you know the moments where Doreen was with her roommate Nancy. Nancy ends up finding out her secret about Doreen being, a this, her being Squirrel Girl, and she promises to keep the secret. Doreen is happy about it, and she takes her out and practices, uses her as a sparring partner. So that was great. I like Doreen when she's grounded, so like as a grounded character. So I like that whole scene a lot. Next issue, she's gonna tell a scary story, so that's interesting. So I might be more interested in that than this. But if you guys already know, I'm not a big fan of cosmic things, galactic things. So this one was not my thing. But when she was in school, when she attended school, was with her friend Nancy, then it was great. So this book I gave a 7 out of 10. I'm gonna give it a 7.5. Never mind, 7.5 out of 10. And I thought it was an enjoyable book. The art is great. I like it. It's quirky, but that whole moment with Galactus was my favorite. There were some good moments there, but there was some over the top moments there. But either way, I think you decide yourself. I would be leaning more to maybe a little skip it, but for the moments, I'm just gonna stay in the middle, stalemate. So 7.5 for the Unbeatable Squirrel Girl, and that was my number 5. Now let's go to number 4, and number 4 is Star Wars issue number 4. This was actually surprising. We're done with that whole battle between Darth Vader and the Rebel forces. This one is more of a character book, I feel. Of a character issue. It mostly focuses on Darth Vader talking to Jabba the Hutt. I think that's his name. You guys know I'm not a big Star Wars fan, but I know him. It tells you in the first issue, so I'll show you. It's Jabba. So I think Jabba the Hutt. So he's talking to Jabba the Hutt about how the Emperor needs his help, and Jabba the Hutt's like, you know what? Yes, I will help him. I like the Emperor, and I like you, but I don't want you to leave just yet, because Darth Vader was about to leave. He's like, we should stay and celebrate, because when I make a deal, I like to end my deal with hearing somebody die or sacrificing somebody. So Darth Vader sticks with Jabba the Hutt for a second, and then we get the forces, the rebel forces having this meeting, and that's cool and all. But my favorite moment has to be the future enemies who are coming. And I feel like I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna leave the rest for my in-depth review. But I feel like this character who is trying to find more about Han Solo. It looks like it's a she. It is a she. So it is a she, and she's trying to find more information about Han Solo. I feel like she is Arfra from Darth Vader. So if you guys, you think it's her, comment it down below, because I feel like that's her. But yeah, Luke leaves. He's going on an adventure, probably to find himself, and we get a cool character at the end. Who hasn't been introduced into the whole Marvel Star Wars universe yet. I mean, this new one, this whole new series. Not counting the old Star Wars Marvel series. I mean, in this new Marvel Star Wars series, this character hasn't been introduced yet until this issue. So I'm gonna leave that for my in-depth review. But I actually enjoyed it. I'm actually excited to see where this is going. John Cassidy's art, it's not my thing. I think it's solid. I really do. I know some people love more arts than others. Like, it depends for them. But for me, John Cassidy's art is solid. So it's not nothing incredible, but it's solid. But for this book, it works. Like, some panels were incredible, like that Darth Vader with Jabba the Hutt. But for others, I don't like his facial expressions that much. But I'm excited. I thought I was gonna drop this series, but it turns out I won't. I actually got excited for this issue from what's to come, and I might pick up that Darth Vader as well because I've read the issues from it, and it has been really good. So I like this, and I gave Star Wars an 8 out of 10, and I recommend you guys to pick it up. So this issue was really surprising. That was my number 4. So number 3, and number 3 is none other than Guardians of the Galaxy, issue number 26. This book I had a little bit of a conflict with. I liked it, but there's just so many flaws that I have to point out. I'm gonna point some of them out in my in-depth review. But for this one, it was just Peter Quill becoming president of Spartax, and that was the whole issue. There was a lot of character moments here. There's an enemy incoming, and the cliffhanger I did not like. I will talk about that, in in-depth. But Peter Quill just became the president of Spartax, as you can see, and he takes the Guardians with him. So it was a fun issue. What I liked was the character interactions. Those were really fun. The art is really great, but there was a lot of flaws. So that's why it couldn't go on my top. If it was more less flawed, I guess it would have been easily my number 1. It was a fun issue, had fun things, but it was flawed. So I liked it, but I can talk about one of those flaws is that this book should just focus on the Guardians. I feel like it was such a bad move to include Venom and Captain Marvel in this team. Now, I don't mean it because they're bad characters. I just feel like the Guardians overshadow them, and especially Venom, who does not have his own book. He is just completely overshadowed, and especially Captain Marvel in this book as well. She's advertised, but she never appears inside the book. So that's a little maybe bad in Brian Michael Bendis' part or the editorial, but I just feel like people should just acknowledge this and kind of like bring it up to Marvel, saying that these characters are just completely underused, and hopefully somebody takes over the Guardians of the Galaxy one day and just uses these characters, because I feel like they have so much potential. But yeah, it was flawed, but the story was interesting. So either way, Brian Michael Bendis has some bad moves, but his story, even though I dislike what he's doing with his characters, the story was fun. So very conflicted with this book, but I think you guys should pick it up. It was fun, and especially if you've been following the Black Vortex, I think this is a really cool aftermath issue. So Guardians of the Galaxy, I give an 8 out of 10, and that's my number 3. Now we go to number 2 and number 1. So it looks like it's not gonna be a 10 out of 10, right, guys? Well, let's see. But my number 2 was Guardians of the Galaxy and the X-Men, the Black Vortex number. What number is this? 1. Okay, yeah, 1. I did my review for this, and yeah, it was a fun issue. I was actually very surprised by it. I thought it was fun. I liked everything that happened. Kitty becomes cosmically enhanced. She wins the battle. She basically undoes everything that has happened in the past 11 issues in just like 5 panels, and that's it. So the rest of the issue is aftermath. We have some possible enemies being set up for maybe Guardians of the Galaxy, maybe Legendary Star-Lord, and that is Ronan. We have Thane, also promising vengeance, and I'm not sure which page it is, but at the end of this whole thing, we find that the ancient one, I forgot her name. Her name is Gara. Gara tells the people that they could give up their cosmically enhanced form, and maybe they will become, back to their true form. But there's always going to be this fallout that leaves with them. There's going to be this aftermath that happens to them. So everybody decides to give up their part except three people, and that is Angel, who doesn't want to, and I'll talk more about that in my All New X-Men in-depth review because he explains it there. Another one is Gamora. She doesn't explain it, but she likes power, so that's why. And Kitty Pryde. So Kitty Pryde is because she can't, so she decides to stick with it, and everybody else does. Cyclops, he doesn't have any change when he gives his power. So doesn't Beast, but Groot and Iceman, they have different things. Groot has like hands now, and Iceman, I don't know, I think he's more like icy, so I'm not sure what happened to him. But yeah, crazy things happen in this issue. Peter proposes to Kitty, and we'll see what happens. But it was a fun issue. I like how it ended. Of course, it was kind of a cheap end, like, oh yeah, Kitty solves everything in like 5 panels. Like, yeah, I'm Kitty, but this was a Kitty and Star-Lord event. It was just based around them. The other characters were just, supporting cast members. And I think it nicely wrapped that Kitty and Star-Lord story. So that's why I gave this issue 9 out of 10. A conflict I had was that McGinnis and Garone did, they shared the duties for the art, and the art was just completely different. So I hate when books do it like that, but I can understand. It was nice seeing their both of their art, because both have beautiful art. So it was great. 9 out of 10. Do I recommend you pick it up? Yes, it was a good issue. If you're a Kitty and Star-Lord fan, definitely it's the must pick up this issue. So yeah, that's my number 2. Now let's get into my number 1. And my number 1 is none other than All New X-Men issue number 40. Now, this might seem a little crazy, but I actually enjoyed this. Well, this issue. Gotta fix that. So yeah, it was a fun issue, and I have to admit, Mahmoud Asrar's art was not my favorite when it was that whole Ultimate Universe story arc, but in this issue I felt like it completely worked. It just did. So the art was great, and the story, 2 of the main stories here, there was like 3. One of them was the Jean and Iceman, which you already know. All of you already probably know. And another one was with Angel and Laura, and the last one was the Utopians. But the Jean and Iceman, it was just so nicely drawn. I like that. It was so nicely drawn. I like the background colors. It was great. The Laura and Angel was also really well done. And those were my favorite stories. The Utopians one, I could care less about it. They were introduced. The cliffhanger was them. It was great seeing them, but I'm glad that like most of the issue was just character development, and that's what this series has needed. This series has felt like a soap opera before, which it was just focused around Jean and Jean. Like, this whole series could have been called All New X-Men Jean Grey story. So because like the first 40 or 35 issues were just about Jean Grey, like, oh, Jean Grey's in this world, how much trouble this Jean Grey is, Jean Grey this, Jean Grey, she marries Cyclops, but Cyclops is a cheater, and Jean Grey this, and Cyclops leaves. We get the Guardians into this whole All New X-Men series, and we have a crossover, and the crossover revolves around Jean Grey, and the future X-Men come, and Jean Grey's alive, so it's all Jean. But this issue takes a seat back. Jean takes a seat back, even though she's a key part of one of my favorite parts of this issue, which is the Iceman thing. But she takes a step back. It's all about Iceman, and for the whole Laura and Angel, it's not even about her, it's about them. So great to see Jean take a step back. Even though she's an interesting character, it's just cool to see other characters shine. And that's what I liked about this issue. I liked it. I'm a big X-Men fan. I will talk about what I think, deeply about this. Or, what I feel about the whole Iceman thing, and if I think it was the right character. So I'm talking about it in my in-depth review, but other than that, I felt like it was an issue that's worth picking up. It was great. It was, kind of like very deep. And even though some of you might hate that Iceman came out, I just feel like you really need to read it in order to understand. So All New X-Men issue number 40, I give a 9.5 out of 10. It didn't even make it, a 10 out of 10 because of the whole Utopians thing. I feel like it should have been focused only on character development. And, I really don't think that Utopians were worth introducing because there's only one issue left. So how are they going to wrap this whole thing up? We'll see. But yeah, that's my, my thoughts on this issue. 9.5, definitely pick it up. And this is my pick of the week. So thanks for watching, guys. Hope you liked this video. Also subscribe to my channel if you haven't done so, and have a nice day, guys. Goodbye.